Hey, party people. Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. Happy holidays if you celebrate a December holiday. Me, I'm not so big on December holidays. However, I do love New Year's. I love New Year's a lot. I also love hearing about international New Year's traditions. I know a lot of countries and cultures eat a particular food for, a prosperous new year. Koreans, they eat rice cake soup for New Year. It's because the rice cakes in the soup are sliced so they look like coins, flat and round. And so you eat these metaphorical coins so that you are blessed with riches in the new year. And I would love it if you shared your international New Year's customs with me in the comments section below. I love all that stuff. In light of the new year approaching, I want to talk about goal setting and New Year's resolutions. So in lieu of a questions segment today, I want to do a segment on how to set New Year's resolutions or how to set goals. I don't know about other parts of the world, but in the US, there's a lot of attention paid towards the end of the year about how New Year is going to be better and the resolutions and, gym memberships start doing sales because everyone's going to be at the gym on January 1st because, they're going to lose 20 pounds in a new year. They're going to quit smoking. They're going to quit drinking. They're going to all these things. And yeah, that's fine, whatever you want to do, but it's almost kind of like this long-running joke in pop culture here in the US because no one takes New Year's resolutions seriously. Everyone just assumes that the gym will empty out by February. And, I don't really think of New Year's resolutions like that. I think of them as goals for the new year that I actually want to stick to and accomplish. So if you are like me, please continue listening. Okay, number 1, don't set too many goals. If you are trying to spread your attention to 17 different things, it's not going to work. You're not going to accomplish any of them. And if you try to improve every single segment of your life, you're never going to have a comfort corner. And so your brain is going to go helter-skelter. We have a lot of aspects to our lives, like our relationship with our partner, our relationship with our family, work, school, maybe pets, maybe our general home. Like I have 17 friends who are doing home renovations on a mass scale right now. If you have like every segment of your life that requires attention, it is exhausting. You need a few areas of your life that are safe and stable. Like maybe your family life is nuts, but your friends are always there for you. And your cat shows you unconditional love in their prickly little special way. But, your work life is a bit of a mess and you want to find a new job. Like, leave some things alone and tackle the things that need the most attention. Don't set too many goals. Number 2, don't set too difficult a goal. I would recommend that you set 3 goals and you set them in varying levels of difficulty. Because as you accomplish the easier one, you will be like, okay, at least I got one. And then it gives you kind of the energy to move on to the next one. Last year, I set a goal for myself that I was going to hit 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. And just judging from the way the numbers were going at the time, it was kind of going to be eventual unless I screwed up my channel big time. And so it was fairly easy to not screw up my channel big time. And so I did hit 500K. And that was a big milestone number for me. And, I got the requisite spam emails ramping up as a result. But it is what it is, right? And so set some easier goals that you can achieve. You just need to get your butt in gear and not mess things up. And then there are things that you have to work more earnestly towards. But don't set anything that is just so far beyond you. People like to say, shoot for the stars, and if you hit halfway, you're still up in the sky. I have mixed feelings about that. I think you should aim high, but I also think that there is a bit of a kind of a, I think it really affects you mentally when you cannot hit the goals that you set for yourself and that you're always chasing and you're never like catching what you want. And I think it does affect us mentally and not in a good way. And so I think that you should have a reach goal, but also you should also set some attainable goals, like have a mix. Number 3 is don't set vague goals. Now, this is particularly relevant to those of us who work in art and design fields, and it's a little harder to, set concrete goals and then we end up saying things like, I want to become a better watercolorist. Well, what does that mean? How do you get there? Okay. And it's not as, self-explanatory as I'm going to quit smoking. It's like, what do? You stop smoking and then you continue to not smoke every day. And it's an everyday struggle, but the step is easy and simple are two different things. It's very simple. It's like, don't smoke. That's the plan. Don't smoke. But it's not easy. You see the difference? It's not a multi-step process, quitting smoking, but it's not easy. Okay? I quit 14 years ago, and it was literally just don't smoke anymore, but it wasn't easy. Now, with something as subjective as art and design, it is better to set concrete goals in terms of what actions you can take than just say, I want to become a better watercolorist. Okay? How do you become a better watercolorist? Think about action goals in terms of, well, I'm going to take a watercolor class at my local art center. I'm going to do all the assignments. Maybe say I'm going to do 90% of the assignments, and I'm going to complete the course to the end. And in doing all these assignments and taking in all the lessons and everything, you will become a better watercolorist. Make your goals into actionable items, like I'm going to take this class, I'm going to complete the assignments, I'm going to complete the whole course, and not just, I'm just going to get better. Number 4, last but not least, throw in some fun goals. Listen, people have this very strange notion of what it takes to improve your life. And everyone is like, well, if you do this, you'll get better at your job, you expand your skill set, and then you can ask for more money or you can pivot to a different career. And those are all good things. If you're very career focused and that's where you want to be, that's great. But there's nothing wrong with doing things purely for the fun of it, with no mind towards improvement, just to mess around. Okay, reading is a hobby. Watching TV is a hobby. Painting your own nails is a hobby. Whatever. You don't have to get better at something in order to enjoy something. That's not the point of this goal. It might be the goal is to include more fun in your life because you're just stressed out from only working so much. That could be the goal. Just throw in some fun goals. Okay? And with that being said, I will share with you my goals so you kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about. I wrote them down. Okay? So I have a few different sections. So I have my work stuff, and I've divided them into 3. Okay. Number 1, YouTube. The goal is to get back on the consistency track and post a video or podcast episode every single Sunday, barring illness. My mental health kind of took a kick in the pants this past year, and so I have not been the most consistent with output, but I am feeling better. I am trying to get back on track with that, and that's my number 1 goal. I would say that is one of my easier goals because I do know what it takes to get back on track, and I have a pretty hefty content calendar that I've been planning out for the last week or so. So I feel like this is a manageable goal for me. Okay. Number 2, it's about my Patreon. And I'm going to add a tier. Right now, I have 4 tiers, but the main ones are my $2 like support tier, and my $49 fashion design and illustration class tier. And I want to do one in between the two, maybe at like $25, where I'm going to do a series of mini lessons, video lesson tutorials. And I haven't decided whether I want to start with sewing or with pattern making. Ramp up by showing you how to practice on your sewing machine, how to do some hand stitches, start cultivating some construction, and then eventually lead up to step by step how to construct a garment, or do that instead with pattern making. If you are interested, drop me a comment, tell me, if you would sign up for a sewing class or a pattern making class. I'm still figuring out the logistics and what I want to do and how I want to price it and which one will be a better place to start. That's kind of my reach goal, because it does take a lot of work to commit to this extra weekly workload, And then of course, right now I'm doing the figure drawing class at the $49 tier. I have already completed the fashion design course that you can still take if you want. And then after the figure drawing class is done, I'm going to be doing drawing clothes on bodies. And I'll announce that when that comes. My number 3 goal is I'm working on my first bit of merch. And no, it's not t-shirts. I may have mentioned it before that I wanted to foray into merch, but I wanted to do thoughtful merch that was sustainable, usable, useful to my students, some sort of tool that can help my drawing and design students work better in some way. I wanted something that would help and not just be, t-shirt with my name on it. That's the last thing I want. And so I am in the middle of something right now. It's just the very beginning. And so it's still definitely a 2023 goal of mine to keep that ball going, get the momentum going, complete that project and release it to the world. And hopefully y'all will want them, all of y'all will want one and buy them from me. And if that goes well, I might move into a new thing. Okay. Well, I guess that's kind of my reach goal, because that one is so dependent on so many other people and so all the stars aligning. But yeah, those are my 3 work goals for 2023. Now the last few, they are my fun stuff goals. Number 1, I got to get my butt back to Japan. As you may know, pre-pandemic, I had gone on these 10-day, one was 2 weeks and one was 10 days, workshops in Japan where I learned indigo dyeing. And I am dying, to go back now that Japan has opened up again. So I really want to make that happen this year. And because my husband is the best, he actually bought me a MacBook Air so that I can travel light for, all of my travel plans that I have for this year. Now, number 2 is also pre-pandemic, my in-laws. So my husband has 2 sisters and a father who all love to travel. Okay? And the 3 siblings all live in different countries. And so they would choose a place for everyone to meet at, and we'd all congregate at this new place and travel around together for 10 days. And, we had to take a couple breaks. And so next year we're trying to do that. I would love to go to Croatia. And then last year, one of the things I didn't do last year was I didn't get my eyebrows microbladed. However, I am going to LA because my sister is running the LA Marathon, and I agreed to come down there and support her during the marathon. And so there is this place that does microblading for Koreans specifically. I mean, not exclusively, but it's a Korean woman with a Korean staff, and tons of Koreans go there because, she understands, Korean facial structure, Korean hair tones, like that more ashy, brown, black, those kinds of colors. She gets that more. And so I've been wanting to go to that place. And so I'm going to set an appointment for the time I'm going to be in LA to watch my sister run the marathon. So those are my fun goals. I'm going to make those things happen for this year. Travel more is always like a vague goal of mine. So instead of having vague goals, I have decided on these 3 places. Japan, possibly by myself, possibly like go with my husband for half of it and then go do my workshop by myself. And then Croatia with my in-laws. I am blessed. I actually like my in-laws. I actually like traveling. One time I went to Amsterdam with only my husband's sisters, without my husband. It was just the 3 girls, and it was great. And then get my eyebrows microbladed in LA. Set goals and have fun with them. Today's story of the day is actually something that rattled my brain after a question I answered in the last episode of the podcast. The person had asked, should I stay in school even though nobody likes me? And after I'd already posted that episode, I remembered this incident that had happened to me in my mid-20s. I was working at this place, and the front office was fairly diverse. And that is designers, tech designers, production manager, accounting people, salespeople. The front office was quite diverse. But the back, with the cutters and the sewers and the shipping and, finishers and stuff, there was about 15 of them, and they were all Chinese except for 2 people. And when I started working there, the front staff, I was friendly with almost everyone, but all the Chinese people in the back hated my guts. And I wasn't really sure what I did, and I was like, maybe I committed some Chinese faux pas that I don't know about, because I don't know much about Chinese culture or manners or anything. And so I didn't know what to do. I tried to be as professional as possible, but it was obvious that they didn't like me. But they didn't do anything to me. It wasn't like, The Devil Wears Prada or some of those crazy fashion movies where they were determined to push me out and, pull pranks. It wasn't like that. It was just they were very cold to me, and you could tell they didn't like me, but it wasn't anything like I would go weeping at night. So it was like that for a few months. And one day I was talking to one of the sample makers, and I was giving her instructions, special instructions, because it was a special sample for a particular project. And I was talking to her about the sample I wanted to have made. Now, there was a woman who worked in the front office who was also Chinese. For anonymity's sake, let's call her Sally. So Sally also happened to walk into the sample making room while I was back there. And they're chit-chatting. I hear them in the background chit-chatting. Sally's chit-chatting with all the sample making ladies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm still talking to this one sample maker. And all of a sudden, I hear Sally start loudly talking in Chinese all of a sudden, kind of yelling at them. And then she's in English, she says, "Why would she know Chinese? She's Korean." Now, if you don't know, my last name is Hong, and it is a Korean last name, but it can also be a Chinese last name. And when Sally said that, everyone just stopped talking, and they wouldn't look at me. They kind of looked down at their machines, and then it was very awkward. And I'm like, what is going on? And then Sally starts laughing. She didn't know that they were being mean to me or, cold to me or anything, because I didn't tell anyone. It was just she had heard them talking about how I was that disrespectful girl who spoke English only, didn't speak any Chinese, all this stuff. And Sally was like, yeah, why would she know Chinese? She's Korean. And so everyone there was like, oops. Now, nobody apologized to me, and I wasn't expecting it either. But, after that, if one of them went to the bakery and picked up a bunch of buns for the back, maybe one would end up on my desk, very obvious Chinese bun on a napkin on my desk. And then when New Year's came around, and this was before I was married, I got a couple of red envelopes with Starbucks cards in them. Maybe when I went back there, it wasn't like walking into a meat locker, super cold and chill. Like nobody was like, let's be best friends. But it was definitely a lot warmer. They were doing my samples faster. They were just a lot nicer to me. And I mean, not everyone. Some people are just buttholes because they're buttholes. Like that shipping manager was a piece of work and he was not nice to anyone. And that had nothing to do with him thinking I was Chinese. Okay. He didn't care. But yeah, so that is something that did happen to me and it did eventually get resolved. And it was definitely a milder case of bullying, kind of icing out more than bullying. But, these things happen. And it was, beyond my control. Like, I guess, like, someone had tried talking to me in Chinese and I did not know they were talking to me. And so maybe I ignored them. Whatever. But they saw me as this very disrespectful Chinese girl. And I was just like a medium respectful Korean girl at the time. Today's rant of the day is actually inspired by a question I received. Okay, I'm gonna read it. Why fabric patterns on clothing for fat women are hideous? Can't they make them in plain? Listen, okay, understand this. I read that verbatim. You know what they're saying. Okay, and I could not agree more. Okay, you see so much ugly crap out there with these hideous patterns, and I swear, if I see another cold shoulder top for plus size people, I'm gonna scream. It's gonna be a cold shoulder, like in like a real heavy jersey, but like a real crappy jersey, so it hangs real low in this ridiculous pattern that is just so ugly that it's just basically an afterthought. And here is, okay, there are women of every size, okay? Every size under the sun, every shape under the sun. There are women who prefer to dress to flatter their figure. They try to go for things that flatter their shape or accentuate parts of their body that they think are the best features. Okay, if someone is really into their butt, they will do things that really make their butt look stellar, okay? And then there are people who most of the time do not care. They just want to wear what they think is cute, what they think is trendy, what they think is sexy, and it doesn't matter to them whether something is particularly figure flattering for them. I know that straight size people, not every straight size person has a perfect time shopping. But the point is that straight size people have approximately 100 billion more options than plus size people. And, most of the time, the majority of the time, it's not even plus size people who are designing these plus size brands. And you know that because the ideas that straight size people have, especially fat phobic people. Fat phobic people, the way they think that fat people should dress is atrocious. They don't respect fat people's bodies, these fat phobic straight size people, okay? And they just don't care. So they put out there the minimum effort and just enough to get people to buy their crap. And because there are so few options out there, those ugly pieces of whatever get sold more than they would if the same things were sold in a straight size. Straight size people have options. And, it's like that thing with menswear where menswear has to be produced at a higher quality because men do not like to shop as much as women in general. And producers know that. And so they feel okay getting away with producing lesser quality in women's wear because women are more happy to shop to replace these items. Okay. And so they know that plus size people don't have very many options. So they don't try very hard to give them really great clothes. If you think about the people who really make things well for larger people, it's because larger people are designing the pieces. Okay. And the brands that I'm not going to name because y'all know who I'm talking about, chill out ugly stuff for plus size people are a bunch of fat phobic skinny people, deciding that fat people don't deserve hot clothes. A bunch of fat phobic skinny people should not be the ones who get to decide what plus size people want to wear or should wear. I'm getting so mad I can't even talk. Whatever. I'm not saying that only plus size people can or should design for plus size people. Okay? I'm saying fat phobic people should not be designing for plus size people. I think that people who have empathy for bodies of all sizes, who appreciate bodies of all sizes, who respect that all these different size people, different shape people want to follow trends and look particular ways and not really be overly concerned with Spanx. I don't even know anymore. But you know what? Here's what I will say. If you're a fat phobic POS, then you need to stop thinking that you can design for plus size people and dictate to them what you think that they deserve. And if you're fat phobic and you're plus size, shame on you. Go to therapy and work on your self-loathing. This whole, fat people shouldn't follow trends because it's not figure flattering rhetoric is outdated, boring, and you're losing out on a lot of money by thinking that way. Anyway, that's it for me today. Okay, happy holidays. Have a wonderful rest of the year. If you're watching this in the new year, happy new year. All those good things. And, share, subscribe. And I will talk to you in the next video.